Hi everybody, we'd like to welcome you to this edition of the Code Enforcement Notebook. With us today we have Parks and Rec Director Steve Moore and Code Enforcement Officer Mr. Danny Ron. Thanks for joining us, gentlemen.
Appreciate the invite.
Today we're going to talk a little bit about pets and pets in our parks and the do's and don'ts of pet ownership with regards to our parks. Steve, tell me a little bit about, do you recommend people bring their pets to our parks?
You know, pets are allowed in certain parks for certain reasons and not allowed in parks for other reasons. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll just use this as an example. Dewey Boster, our guys work from 7 until about 3:30. And during that time frame, we're performing maintenance out there on the parks. We're putting pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers, all kinds of stuff for the turf out there. It's not a good idea for the dogs to be out in that type of environment. You know, typically we don't have very many people during the day out there. That's one of the reasons why we work during the day. But the other reason is, from a maintenance standpoint of view, we prefer not to have dogs running around without being on a leash, number one. And people do walk the dogs around the trail inside the park, but lately we've been seeing a lot of people just letting their dogs off the leash and running around while we're cutting the grass, and that's not good. So, and then the other issue is they don't pick up after themselves. A lot of people do, but there's always these ones or twosies that don't pick up after themselves, or they'll throw it in the bushes, and then next thing you know, we're clearing something out and we find some of that. So prefer for them to go to the dog park. You know, we're doing some renovations over the dog park now. There's been some discussion of late as to the possibility of making some improvements over there. So
let me stop you just a minute. You're talking about the Keysville Dog Park, and that's on Keysville Avenue?
The Keysville Dog Park.
And that's just around the corner from City Hall here, correct?
That's right. It's just a little shout away.
Tell me a little bit about that park, its amenities.
Well, what they have there is they have a small dog area and a large dog area. And there's several pavilions. There's one pavilion on the small side area and one large pavilion, one large side dog for the dogs. And then there's several benches. There's some picnic tables in there. There's some trees in there that provide some form of a shade. What we're doing is currently there's a lot of dirt and sand in there, and we're trying to get rid of that dirt and sand. We're going to redesign the dog park to maybe fit more of the needs of the citizens. And we're basically going to, when we stop cutting grass here pretty soon, when the ground temperature changes, we're going to go in there into the dog park and make some changes.
And there's a trick to entering with your dog into one of the dog areas where they can be off leash and free to roam, right? Tell me a bit about that fenced in area. How does that work?
Well, you're allowed to let your dog loose during those areas, but you kind of got to keep an eye on it. And you know, that's one of the things that we need the citizens' help on, is not only when they go to the bathroom, but they do keep an eye on them. It's just not a free-for-all kind of area. And we're seeing a lot of that here lately too. And usually after it rains, there's usually some ants that pop up out there too. So we have to pay a little bit of attention to the dog park, because people are complaining and whatnot. Around the sports fields, we prefer not to have the dogs. In the baseball fields area up at Dewey, over at Van Park, over at DuPont Park, because we're always doing some maintenance over there. And next thing you know, we're running over something on the field, and that's not what we want. So. And
Keysville's kind of specifically designed with your pet in mind. There's actual amenities designed for the dogs.
Right. We have some dog drinking fountains in there, which are really cool. Very pricey, but really cool. We're going to be replacing those. We have some water fountains for it, so you can kind of get your dog to have a little bit of a bath, and we're going to make some improvements in there to be able to be a little bit more dog friendly, and we're going to need the help of the citizens to be able to do that. And that's going to be a challenge for the people that come over there. We're going to have to close part of it off while we do the renovations. Put a temporary gate in. We'll take one side at a time, and then we'll do that. In the meantime, when we have special events and things like that at the parks, like 4th of July, where we have fireworks, we would really prefer for you to leave the dogs at home, because you know, the noise, the booms, and all that kind of stuff. Plus, the crowd is so saturated there that there's thousands of people there. Some people may take offense to the dog, may get scared from the dogs, and And so hopefully people can help us with that regard. But we do have an ordinance that I'm sure Danny's going to talk about,
Yeah.
about dogs not being allowed on sports fields. And we need the citizens' help to be able to make that happen.
There is an event, though, every year hosted at Keysville, correct? That's
Yes, around the March, April timeframe, we do some vaccinations. We have some contests, lookalikes, and those kind of things.
That's at Wags. What's it
Wags
called?
and Whiskers.
Wags and Whiskers. Yeah, it's a very well attended every year event. We're only allowed to inoculate, or the vet is now allowed to give about 200 shots per state regulations. So between all that, we do offer them at a discount. It is an opportunity for people to come out and visit the dog park and that kind of thing.
Last year, you had an interesting obstacle course set up out there for the event too that people could try out, right, with their pets.
Yep, we do. We usually have that, and when we do some form of the renovation in the large dog area, we are going to put a couple little pieces in there to kind of. We were going to do it sort of a surprise, but maybe it'd be something to look forward to. But
Breaking news here on our show.
Well, we're taking some of our slides that have been in our playgrounds, and we're going to be able to build some of those things up, and the dogs can slide down there. Seeing as they're no good anymore, why throw them out when we can put them in the dog park and people can have use for them? So we're going to, make that kind of a cool little obstacle area on both sides. So it'll be pretty neat for the dog owners. And
So let's just review a little bit. What circumstances would you want a pet to be in a park? If they're on a leash, if you're prepared to pick up after them, that kind of thing?
Well, that's what the ordinance talks about.
Okay.
There's really specific in those regards, and all we want to do is just follow the ordinance. There's some parks where we have, like Audubon Park. That's a walking area. There's some stormwater ponds there, and that would be a good place for people to bring their dogs. We do have doggy-friendly bags out there. There's trails through the woods. That'd be a good place to go. Over at Keysville is our number one priority because it is a dog park, and there is a trail that goes around that as well. Taking dogs to West Crowell would not probably be a good thing because we have playgrounds and kids and sports going on and those kind of things. Dewey Buster, same thing on the soccer and the baseball fields. Leave the dogs at home, keep them away from there. There is a trail that you can walk around on Dewey Buster. You could use that if you wanted to, but just don't bring them over to the sports fields. There's also something in the regulation, which I'm sure Danny's going to talk about, that are not supposed to be near concession stands as well. So, all we need is the help for people to be able to do it. I've been a previous dog owner, and I understand that you want your dog to be with you as much as you can and try to give them the opportunity for companionship. Some people really enjoy that, and I think that's important. But, there needs to be some rules and regulations, and we think we've got a pretty good sample of them. And around the parks, it's just not a good mix, unless they're dog parks or some good areas. So.
I know that your time with us is precious and you got to go soon. Can you tell me a little bit about your upcoming event at Dewey O'Boster?
Well, we're getting ready for Spooktacular. It's going to be the 25th and the 26th of October. City manager has authorized for us to have that event. It's going to be 2 days. Like I said, there's going to be a haunted ship that's built, assembled by the water department and public works guys. It's something that you shouldn't miss. We're also going to have a trail. It's about 1/4 mile in length, and we're going to have, I think there's 14 scenes on it. It's a big event, one of our biggest events of the year. We're anticipating needing probably about 150 volunteers for games and contests and those kind of things. And typically we get it. All the city people like to work, so they'll be in there. It'll be a team effort. In the past, the city clerk's office has run the event. This year, our commission has asked that the funding for that come out of the Parks and Recreation budget. So we're all kind of working on it together, and between all the public works, water, stormwater areas, us, code enforcement, everybody's working on it to make it be cool.
This is a 2-day event, correct?
2-day event. Starts Friday night. It starts at 7 o'clock and ends at about 10. Saturday night, it starts at 8 and goes until about 10.
And you prefer families with younger kids come to the Saturday where the kids' games are.
That's right. We'll have somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 games for the kids, and there'll be coloring books and candy and stuff like that. So that Saturday's more of a family night. Friday night's more of a kind of teen night. Saturday we have contests and those kind of things. Again, this year we're offering a hay ride. Probably going to do that on both nights. It seems to be a very popular thing where the parents can bring the kids, put them on the back of a trailer. We decorate it all for Halloween, then we take them around a field, and then that field is lit up with balloons and all kinds of stuff like that.
And the costume contest is very popular.
Yes, it is.
There's different age categories, correct?
That's right, yeah.
Your judges this year?
I
have some commissioners out there?
Joyce Rafferty's kind of handling that. We have commissioners that will judge. Yeah, that'll be a cool thing. And then we have, on the trail, we have about 120 people in costumes.
Wow.
And the ship has some costumes as well, with people in costumes down there too. So this is an event that people really can't miss. This is something that they definitely need to make sure. Please leave your dog at home too. How about that?
Yeah.
We'll be checking. Code enforcement usually is at the front gate there, letting people know they prefer not to have the dogs. You know, it's dark out there. It's kind of a spooky environment. Some
Screaming.
kids, some kids will be screaming. They'll be crying and stuff like that.
Some parents will be screaming.
Right. So, you know, we're really excited about it. This is one of the events that really takes a lot of teamwork to pull off, and it's a feel-good event. And what more festive time than around Halloween to do it? So.
And if people would like to volunteer or get involved, they should call.
They should call our office, the Parks and Recreation office, 386-878-8900. Ask to speak to Marlene Brown. If she doesn't answer the phone, we'll get their application. We're looking for people that want to put in some community service hours in the schools and whatnot. So we're very excited about the event. If we don't get enough volunteers, which has never been the case, we may have to cut back, but I doubt that. I think it'll be a great event.
You'll accept teenagers?
We'll take some teenagers. I think you have to have, I think it's 18. And then if anybody's under 18, you have to have the parents sign the form, sort of a waiver type thing. And a lot of the kids, they come out every year. We get the same kids for the last 4 or 5 years that want to be out there. They love scaring the little kids, and this is their way of also giving back to the community and volunteering. Without those volunteers, we couldn't run the event. So.
Well, I understand if you gotta go.
Got a jet right now. We're doing some fields, and I've got some issues with that.
And I'm going to continue our interview. We have Danny Ron, Code Enforcement Officer with Enforcement Services here at the City of Deltona. We're talking today about pets and your pets in the park, and when it's a good idea, when it's not such a good idea. Danny, give me your thoughts on bringing pets to, say, maybe one of our larger events like the 4th of July or.
4th of July. Pets and loud noises don't mix well. 4th of July is a real big one. It doesn't even pertain to the park, but we do get a lot of cases around that time because of the fireworks going off, startling the animals, dogs running, basically leaving the property unattended by the owners because of the noise. They panic, the anxiety. And we do get that a lot. So it's even worse at the park. If the dog comes out there, the chances of somebody getting bit is higher. You have a lot of people in the area within the vicinity of the dogs. And this is pertaining to dogs, but we've had issues with cats and other pets, and also during these times of events. So
Spooktacular coming up, you would say too much screaming, too much noise?
Yes, don't bring them out there. It's nice for the family. It'd be great to have the pets out there, but it's not a good scenario. We've had incidents of bites at these events, and nice dog, never had an issue, but too many people and concentrated too many people in one area, it's always comes out bad. Plus, in majority of the park, especially where the events are taken, this event is at Dewey Boster Park. Most of that area, the playground, the playing area, is none of these pets are allowed on that area. By the concession stands, the concrete area. So pretty much only
Where
on
the
the
people
trails.
are.
Yeah, pretty much where
Where it's
everybody's
crowded, that's
concentrated
where
at,
you-
they're not even allowed on there. There are signs when you do come onto the park posted. A lot of people don't see these signs. They just keep on going to the parking lot, but yeah, they're posted out there. For most of the city's events, we have a code enforcement animal control officer out there keeping an eye out and actually passing the word out that we're not allowed to have the animals in the playing area or around the buildings at the parks. But there are a lot of parks out there that do allow the pets to be out there.
Okay, you keep using the word allowed. Tell me a little bit about the city ordinance with regards to pets and
So
location.
a lot of people don't know, but city ordinance is just city laws. City ordinance, as a matter of fact, just printed it out. 14.8 restraint required. If there is an animal at a park, it has to be on the leash. No, we recommend 6 feet, no more than 6 feet leash.
Is that kind of what you buy in a store? Is a 6?
Yes,
foot leash?
that's an average length. Anything more than that, you pretty much do not have control of the animal, especially when you have a lot of people in the area. There is a requirement that all pets should have their rabies vaccination on their collar and a city license also.
So the city license you purchase here at City Hall?
City license
or the
can be
vet?
purchased here at City Hall,
Okay.
or our local vets also sells them for us.
And when you get a rabies vaccination for your dog, that's when they get the rabies
Yes.
tag, correct?
To get the city license, you have to show proof of the rabies vaccination. It's current. And it's actually a great reminder when it does come up. Most residents, citizens here in the city, once they do get this rabies vaccination, they get the city license.
Oh. And you can get that at the pet festival, right? That Steve was talking about.
Yes. We have an event at the dog park,
Wags and Whiskers.
Wags and Whiskers at Keysville Park, and we're out there selling out licenses. But first you need a city veterinarian because they are providing the low-cost shots at that time, and then you come and see me for the licenses.
Okay, back also something Steve Moore said earlier was they're not allowed in areas where concessions are happening in the parks. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, under the city ordinances, city buildings within the parks, concession stands where a lot of people concentrate in because they're trying to buy, they're not allowed in that area under the city ordinance.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Tell me maybe a good example of an encounter that you've had with a pet owner, maybe not a very responsible pet owner, at a park situation. Can you think of a specific one?
I mean, mine, like for example, I have 2 dogs. If I have them, if they're with me, basically they don't leave within 4 feet of me. I can say we've had residents saying that they won't leave my side.
Mm-hmm.
All it takes is one incident, something to distract them, and they'll take off. Maybe with another animal or another person.
So what normally would be a good, well-behaved animal, because of the surrounding circumstances that the pet owners put them in, may act a different way.
That's why if you're on the leash, you pretty much have control of the animal at all times. If something does happen, and it'll stay with you. And it's an ordinance, so it's a law. You need to cap that on you.
Okay, since it's an ordinance, and someone, say, is out without a leash, park, no park, wherever,
Right.
what's the penalty, fine, violation?
We don't just go out there and just start writing citations, which is,
You're friendly.
right. We do give a warning first. Listen, please, there is a leash law. A lot of times people don't know. They might come from a different location, part of the state, another state that might
Deltona
not
is pretty diverse, and
Right.
we got people from all over the world. living
So
here.
yeah, they might not have the same laws that we have here, but we said, please, there's a leash law here. Place the pet on the leash, but now if we've been there, we've spoken to the same person before, and that doesn't happen. We've been granted. Basically, I can write citations for a neutered pet. Spayed or neutered pet is $60 fine for the first offense. If the dog or cat or pet is not spayed or neutered, it's $100. So
I was going to ask you about that. Like, do you see kind of, other than dogs and cats, what's probably the weirdest thing you've seen? Ferrets? I don't know.
I've seen ferrets on leashes. I've seen cats on leashes. On Wags and Whiskers, that event that we've had, so a couple of cats.
And the
Usually
same
cats
applies for
they
a
see
cat?
dogs. Yeah, same. Yes, all pets.
That's good to know. And what do if you receive a citation, you have to come here to City Hall to pay it, or how
No,
does that work?
the citations, it's run through the court system, Volusia County Courthouse. There's 3 different locations. The nearest one we have is in DeLand. That's where you pay your citation. What the citation says in the back, all the information is on there. We explain to the person when we do issue the citation, you do have 30 days to pay the citation, but it's at the local courthouse. We don't handle that. Once I issue the citation, we give it to my clerk, and she forwards it to the courthouse. So it's it's run through the courthouse, and that's who takes care of it from there on.
While I have you, I don't want to let you go without talking about. We have a new program going on for spaying and neutering of animals.
Mhm.
Correct? That's working. We're working with Halifax Humane Society.
Yes.
Is that correct? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
We do have a program right now, and it's $10. $10, you must come to City Hall and pay that registration. But that's pretty much all you pay for that spade and neuter. We will set you up with a date and time when you come in, drop off your animal, and later on that day you can come back and pick up your animal after the spade and neuter surgery has been.
So they go somewhere else to have it done? They go to Halifax, or?
I believe there is a van that does it. Oh, they might be going to Halifax. I'm not
Okay.
sure. That's run through my director, and yeah, but they meet here at City Hall. They come here and pick up your animal, and from here they take it to a different location where they have the surgery.
And if somebody's interested in having their pet go through this program, what's the best way to?
Well, you could get the information over the phone, give us a call, but you're not on that list until you pay that
So
registration
they just
fee.
need to come into City
Yes,
Hall.
just come City Hall, and we're located right on Providence Boulevard, right next to the college. First floor, Animal Control Department, and they'll be ready for you.
Are you going to Spooktacular?
I'm always there. I think I missed it 1 year last year. I was at a.
Do you have an animal control function this year, or are you going to be in costume? You don't know yet. You don't know your assignment.
I'm usually there on the trail. I like the trail.
Security.
Monitor the kids, kind of the security, yeah. They use this mostly security. But we do have an animal control officer out there monitoring as families and citizens are coming into the park, and just make sure, if there is a pet, we let them know. You can still come onto the park, but not within the play areas, playgrounds, and the city buildings within the parks.
And we have lots of information on our website if you want to learn more about being a responsible pet owner. Go to deltonafl.gov and just look for the code enforcement part on the webpage, and there's lots of good information about leash laws and cleaning up after your pet and just how to be a responsible pet owner.
As you mentioned, there is an ordinance under the same chapter that you must pick up after your dog feces. We can actually get a ticket for not picking up after your dogs.
And your neighbors are probably watching for that.
My neighbors are probably watching. Yes.
Anyways, thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us today, Danny.